Hi everyone, I was just coming back to make another video. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Just talking a little bit about my life and growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and just some of my experiences and things, my perceptions of how things kind of went on. Um, Actually, I attended several Kingdom Halls growing up because we moved a couple of times. So I ended up, and of course, congregation split, and you end up kind of getting shuffled around and moved around that way. Um, I guess I had a more or less typical life as a Jehovah's Witness youth growing up. No holidays, no birthdays, no friends, except the ones that I could have at school. Though, of course, they could never call me or we could never hang out. They could only be my friends at school. So that's more or less, what I had. Um, I remember when I was a teenager, I got a haircut, and it caused a lot of issues. My parents were pretty conservative, so it wasn't like my haircut was like, mohawk or something purple or weird. It wasn't like that. I just got my hair cut in a way where my bangs kind of went over my eye. I mean, of course, I could tuck it behind my ear, but it was kind of over my eye. Slightly fashionable, I guess. And I remember the elders kind of talked to me about it and said that, and one of the pioneers talked to me about it and said, I really don't think you should wear your hair like that because prostitutes in Chicago wear their hair like that. Well, I'm not from Chicago. No offense to Chicago, but I don't know any prostitutes. Not at between age, being a teenager, I didn't know any prostitutes, so I didn't understand that. They even kind of came to my mom and told her that they felt like my clothes were fitting my body too much, and my mom told me that I needed to start wearing more baggy clothes. Now, just so you know, I don't even think I weighed over 100 pounds, and I'm about 5'5". So back then, I'm pretty sure I was under 100. I've always been relatively pretty thin, so actually, I would even say skinny. So for my clothes to fit tight or to fit me well, it's kind of crazy for me to walk around in a huge baggy something. But my mom started buying me clothes that were much more bigger and ill-fitting because it was a problem at the Kingdom Hall because they said that my clothes fit. Not that I was super shapely or early bloomer, none of that. So I never really understood why that was a problem, but apparently it was a serious problem. Not only that, my parents were adamantly serious Jehovah's Witness. So anytime my sister and I ever did anything wrong, if we talked back, if we didn't turn the TV off quick enough, and we didn't make our bed up when we were told quick enough, my mom would schedule, she wouldn't even tell us when it would happen. We would think we'd be going to the park or something, and all of a sudden we'd pull into the Kingdom Hall parking lot, and my mom would have talked to the elders, and they would have called a meeting. They would have took us back into one of those crazy back rooms and started fussing at us about, the fact that we weren't, being obedient. And the Bible said you have to be obedient to your parents. And I was pretty much, if my parents told me to do something, I did it. I wasn't a really, really disobedient child. So if my parents just didn't like something, they talked to the elders. And so, many times I was taken back there. And I don't know if any of you have never been back into any of those rooms, but basically it's like a trap. You walk in, one door out, your back is to the wall, and you're in there in the rooms with the elders. And it's not a good time. Typically, most of the time, I would always end up in tears. I don't know why my parents felt the need to take us in front of the elders as many times as it happened. Because the funny thing was is that there was several elders' children, especially one girl. I remember her. She was always on all of the programs at the assemblies. She was always like the top person. Oh, you should just be like her. Be like her. She's the model Jehovah's Witness child. You should be more like her. I remember they would tell me, oh, you should be more like her. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? This girl went to high school with one of my cousins who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. And my cousin that wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, she was really wild. She was doing it all. Drugs, sex, everything. Everything. You name it. And she was good friends with my cousin. And the girl had even told me before once I went over my cousin's house and she was there. She was hanging out and she told me, she was like, yeah, I've had like 5 abortions. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You want me to be like this person? You want me to have 5 abortions? I mean, she's apparently having 6. She's getting pregnant. You know, she's hanging out with my cousin. My cousin is like smoking drugs, you know, doing all this other stuff. So I'm pretty sure she's doing that too. But meanwhile, no one knows about it. I mean, maybe her parents know, but they're not saying anything because her father's an elder. Me, I don't make my bed up quickly enough for my parents, and I'm in a judiciary hearing quick, fast, in a hurry. That's just the craziest thing, that they would even do that. My parents were extremely brainwashed. They were, you know, really trying to follow what they said, you know, to the letter, to the T, which was really, really crazy. That they would even, think that my clothing was like, you know, prostitute clothing or whatever they felt like it was. It was pretty terrible. But I also got shunned before I ever was really I never got this fellowship, but I got shunned before I actually ever did anything. There was a guy in the Kingdom Hall that liked me, and he used to say hi to me every Sunday. He would just say more or less, "Hi, how are you doing? You look nice today. It's good to see you." And I would say, "It's good to see you. See you next time." And that was it. Like, we never talked on the phone. We never held hands. None of that. Apparently he spoke to his parents and told them that I guess he liked me or whatever. His parents threatened to kick him out of the house. I guess I didn't give you the backstory about my congregation. The governing body had to come, the society had to send people down several times to ask people within the congregation not to be racist. I remember going out and field service with his mother, and she told me one time how she was so happy. It was a city somewhere in our state that they were celebrating their 100th year of separation of the races, and they thought it was the greatest thing ever. And she told me this as we were walking, you know, to the next door, and I was like, wow, this lady is really special. Wow, God's not partial, but boy is she. And it was definitely really interesting. So like I said, maybe he expressed it to his parents that he really liked me. I didn't know anything about it. He never expressed it to me other than to say, "Hi, you look nice today. See you next time." So I don't know. I guess that creates a relationship. Well, anyway, after that happened, after he spoke to me 4 Sundays and I guess told his parents something that I didn't know what he told, I started getting shunned. People stopped talking to me. The whole conversations about me looking like a prostitute, which my clothes weren't tight or short or any of that, kept coming up, you know. And so finally people stopped talking to me. People wouldn't even sit next to my mom or me. We put our books down or go to the bathroom and come back. If anybody was on our row, they were gone by the time we came back. I mean, it was like I was a social pariah. I don't even know what I, specifically done to do that. I mean, at the time, it really hurt my feelings because I was like, these people are judging me on the basis of the color of my skin. They didn't want me to have this relationship with this guy. I wasn't in a relationship with him. He just liked me. Not that I couldn't like him. It's just that I wasn't going to like him because of the situation that I was in. And not that we ever even had a conversation about a relationship of any type. It only was, "Hi, how are you? You look nice today. See you next Sunday." That was it. And and they immediately started shunning me. But the girl that had the 5 abortions, oh, she was on the program. Everybody. No one shunned her. So I don't really understand it. I never really understood how those things work. And I'm pretty sure maybe a person that's been an elder before can explain it to me. But I don't really understand how that works. So more or less, because I started to get shunned and people stopped talking to me. And I actually, started talking to other minorities in the congregation, and they said that they really couldn't sit next to me and speak to me because it's pretty much had been put out that I was bad association, and I hadn't even done anything. So more or less for me, I never got like publicly reproved or anything like that. I just ended up kind of fading away, which was kind of good for me, and I'm kind of glad that more or less happened to me. But that's pretty much all I have to talk about tonight. So I will talk to you later in another video, and hopefully you'll have a good night.